It's time for the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth, financial literacy educator and speaker, entrepreneur, and chairman of the board of Bank Information. Take charge of your financial future with Your Personal Bank. Now here's Ference Toth.
Welcome to Your Personal Bank Show, and we're coming up close to Christmas. If you're listening to this on any of the radio stations this airs, you might be listening to this on yourpersonalbank.com, which, by the way, you can listen to this or any of the previously recorded shows on our website, again, yourpersonalbank.com. But, what I want to do today is a little bit different. I'm going to share some thoughts, a lot of things I've been sharing over the year. I'm going to, so it's not a rehash. I've got some new things here, so don't worry. And talk about some bigger picture things. Obviously, if you're wanting to take control of your money, reduce taxes, offset inflation, diversify, those kinds of things, you can contact me at toll-free 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com. But, I'm headed to vacation right after this, by the way. So for Christmas break, taking a couple of weeks off, enjoying time with the family. So if you do reach out to me, I'll get back with you after the first of the year because this is an important time of the year for me. It always has been. I understand it's not the best time of the year for some people. I get that. And there's been times in my life it hasn't been all that great. I remember being quite lonely when I was in the Army, for example, in the barracks, hanging out in the barracks, and no family, no one around really. It was a very lonely time. So when I was in the Army, so I understand that type of thing, and I get it. And if you're lonely, or it's bad memories and things like that, I hope times get better for you. I hope things change, improve, whatever. But most years of my life, and of course I have a family now with my wife and 2 teenage daughters. It's a happy, special time for us. I don't know how much longer the girls are going to be at home. We don't know how many more years we have with them, if you know what I mean. So we're enjoying and cherishing these times. So I just would say, if you do reach out to me, again, it's toll-free 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com. Please appreciate. I'll be happy to talk to you and help you in with your financial situation and all that good stuff. But it'll be after the first of the year, okay? And I tell all my clients this. This is another kind of a thing that's again more of a big picture kind of thing. I've been in the financial industry for over 22 years. Worked with clients all that time. I've been an entrepreneur, business owner for going on 30 years now. I've owned a retail business. I've owned construction. Let me think a minute. And you kind of lose track over the years. Of course, the financial agency. I've been a real estate investor. Some have gone really well, and sometimes not so well. I've had ups and downs, obviously, like anyone who's done things like that over the years. But I've been asked this. I've maintained a passion for whatever it is I do. And, of course, I've been doing this to Your Personal Bank and sharing these financial literacy ideas and things with people now for going on 8 years now. And the financial stuff altogether, 22. I remember I caught back up with a gentleman who was an agent advisor working with me when I first started. In fact, he was the top advisor in the company when I first started. And I remember riding with him and learning from him. And then he left the company, I don't know, about a year or so later. Lost track of him for, close to 20 years. And then one day, not too long ago, it was 3 years ago, he reached back out to me and said, "Hey, I heard you it was on the radio, of course, and hey, sounds like you're doing great. I'd like to catch back up with you." We caught up, we had lunch, we talked about it. He came to work with me for a little while. But one of the things he commented on, he says, and he sat in with me on a couple of client meetings and stuff. He goes, and after the first one, he goes, "It's remarkable. What's remarkable was, as he stated, was how your passion and enthusiasm is just as strong today, if maybe not even more so, than it was 20 years ago." He says, "How do you do it?" And I think there's a lot of reasons behind it. One of those things is, we tell our girls, and I tell people who ask me all the time, do what you love, find a passion. And what I found is, if you chase the money that's not usually what fulfills people. In other words, what most of the time actually fulfills people is when you actually do something that actually improves somebody's life. And I found that in the financial world. I'm just not there to sell products. I'm there to actually enhance their financial future. In fact, educate them on some financial things and improve their financial situation so they have more money, and they're paying less taxes, and they got less risk, and they're just happier, they're calmer, they're more relaxed, they're enjoying life more. There's that the quality of life, right? All those kinds of things are so important. And my wife always says, it's so funny. So, now, of course, I meet more people online and stuff, obviously, especially since COVID. But even before that, I started speaking 7-8 years ago around the country to various investor groups and things like that about the personal bank concept. So it was funny. It was in, 2019, something like 75% of my client meetings were online. Because most of my clients were all over the country, because I'd fly to Seattle or Chicago or L.A. or Denver or wherever and then do a workshop, whatever, educate people on how this concept worked, a number of investors, and then we would meet afterwards individually, like Zoom or whatever, right? So when COVID hit, it wasn't a major shift for me in our business. The main change for me, of course, was the speaking engagements disappeared. The radio, of course, took over. I'd started doing it about a year or so before, about a year and a half or so before COVID hit, the radio, that is. And then it just kind of took over, because the speaking stuff obviously disappeared for a while. Anyway, but it's funny how my wife says, she used to say when I used to meet with clients in the office or in the coffee shop or wherever, I would meet somebody and I come home and she'd say, I can tell you had a great day. I said, why is that? She goes, your eyes just lit up. And it was always because my eyes were lit up and I was excited because one of two things. Either I met with a prospective client who got it, who understood how this concept worked, how it would enhance their financial future, create positive arbitrage, make sure they have more money in their pocket, reduce their taxes, gain control of their money, reduce market risk, have more money, right? And if you want to know how that works, go to my website, yourpersonalbank.com. There's great information there. Or like I said, contact me at toll-free 866-268-4422. Sorry, 268-4422. Like I said, I'll contact you after the first of the year, after the holidays. But it was always because it clicked, or I met with a prospective agent. I have a lot of agents that work with me on the agency, and got agents all over the country. And the advisor, the agent got it. It clicked for them because this is a paradigm shift in thinking about money, and it does dramatically enhance people's financial situations. But it's different. It's how institutional investors often approach investing and how they work with a lot of their money, like banks. That's like I said, being on a bank board has benefits, of course. Corporate finance boards, family offices, things like that deal with this kind of thing all the time. But the average investor, typically doesn't. So it's new for them. It's not new, but it's new for them, right? So I get my passion, my juice, my enthusiasm, my fire from helping somebody understand how their financial life can be better. And I think most of us know that money isn't everything, certainly, by no means. But it is an important part of our life and our society that we live in. And I've had times in my life where I've had and made a lot of money, and there's been times where I was underwater. I was worse than broke. I owed a lot of money, right? I heard a story once. Guy was saying, hey, you see that guy? This was a very, very wealthy, or had been a very wealthy and successful businessman. He was in a penthouse kind of thing. And he just had some major financial setbacks. He was broke, actually owed money. And he said to his secretary, he says, you look at that guy, there was a panhandler on the street. And he said, you see that guy down there? She's like, yeah. He goes, he's worth more than I am. She goes, what do you mean? I said, he's broke. I'm underwater. In other words, if he goes out and makes a buck and he can take that dollar and buy a can of beans and eat the beans. He goes, if I make a buck right now, I have to pay the buck back to the lenders, and I still don't have any beans. And so I've been there. I know what it's like, okay? I've told the story. Again, it's on our website, yourpersonalbank.com. If you go to any of the previously recorded shows, each of them has different topics, and there are some of them in there where I tell my story about real estate investing and what we did, and then when the 08-09 crash hit and how we got impacted in a big way negatively, and how we took a number of years to dig our way out of it. And so I've learned some lessons from that. And, of course, you learned how to make lemons out of lemonade, right? That kind of stuff. And the other thing I always share with people, too, is if you're talking to somebody and they've never done anything or they've never done anything wrong, they tell you that, I'm going to say to you they're either haven't accomplished anything or they're lying, because that's just not how life works. You know what I mean? But I do know this personal bank concept enhances and improves people's financial lives. And another very astute statement my wife made a couple years ago, she said, and we've been married for over 20 years, 2 beautiful daughters, teenage daughters. She said, we've had money, we've not had money. Money doesn't make you happy, but man, it reduces a lot of stress. And she's absolutely right with that. So it's not going to make you happy if you have a lot of money. And I think anyone who has had that can attest to that. But it can eliminate a lot of stress, and that's one of the key things. Again, as we go into the holiday season and all that, these things that are important, and I always I like to contemplate a little bit about what kind of life do I want to lead. I start thinking about my goals, and I'm going to encourage you. The first show of the year, we'll share my annual wheel of. It's called a Wheel of Life. That's impacted me and helped me become successful over the last 20 plus years. It's been very, very effective for a lot. I've shared this with a lot of people, and I'm going to do it again. It's kind of become an annual thing, and I get a lot of really positive feedback from it. But I start getting around the Christmas and New Year's time frames. I start getting contemplating and thinking about where was I over this past year? Where am I going this next year? What do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish? Start setting some goals. So I'm in that contemplative mode, if you know what I'm saying. So I don't know if this makes any difference or helps anybody, but I've got to have a feeling. I've just got a gut feeling that it is. This is reaching out to. It's a little bit different message or story. It's a little more personal, but if someone is out there is discouraged or frustrated about this past year, and it's been a frustrating one, I'll give you that, I'm going to encourage you. There's some good stuff. Hang in there. It's going to get better. Stay tuned in the next segment. I'm going to talk about some of these positive things that are going forward, so don't miss it.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. And I just want to I want to encourage everybody today. It's been a tough year. For a lot of people, there is no question about that. There's been so many changes, particularly from the political arena and our government and things that are happening. Changes. I mean, there's folks that want to fundamentally change our government, our society, and our way of life. That's a fact. And the vast majority of people, the polls show that they don't. That's not what they want. That's it's a step backwards, or major steps backwards for most of us. And it's frustrated a lot of people, and it's discouraged many people. And that's why I want to share. And if the holidays are tough for you, on top of it, it can sort of be a tough double whammy, if you want to, you know what I'm trying to say. I really want to encourage people to say, hey, yes, it's been a tough year. It's been challenging, with COVID, and then all the stuff our government's trying, particularly the federal government's been trying to accomplish over this past year, has been really, really frustrating. But if you missed the last show, I shared a lot of the wins that have occurred recently. And, folks, there's many more coming. And like I said, if you missed it, go to yourpersonalbank.com. You can listen to that or any of the previously recorded shows. They all have topics, so you can check it out at yourpersonalbank.com. So there's a lot of wins. There's a lot of big wins that have occurred recently. And after the holidays, after the first of the year, I think that'll just, frankly, probably kick into higher gear, if you know what I mean, because now we're getting then we'll be getting into an election year, the midterms, right? And that's the opportunity where the American people can speak. And based on everything, the way it's looking, we're going to have a lot to say, okay? And we're going to have a lot to say about the future of our country and the direction of our government, what's going to happen. So we still have a lot of power. We still have a lot of influence. You can still reach out to your representatives if you're not happy with the way things are going. I do on a regular basis. I encourage you to do the same. Very few will actually do it, so your voice will carry the weight of hundreds, if not thousands, of people because so few will actually reach out. So you can make a difference, you know. This article I saw, I mentioned this in the last show, from this message from Elon Musk. It was so encouraging because here's a guy who was talking about the Build Back Better, and he was saying, look, we don't need it. The government shouldn't be involved with doing that, in essence. And they even pointed out to him, hey, there's some good stuff in this bill, Elon. There's tax credits for electric vehicles and monies for building charging stations across the country, which both of those things, no doubt, would benefit Tesla, which he founded, right? And he said, nope, he said, no, delete it. We don't need it. In fact, we'd be better off without it. And his personal company would probably benefit greatly, right? But he's just saying, in the bigger picture, as he pointed out, and this is this financial literacy that I talk to about people all the time, is like he says, it doesn't make sense to take the job of capital allocation away from people who have demonstrated great skill in capital allocation and give it to an entity that has demonstrated very poor skill in capital allocation, which is the government. And then he went on and stated, the government is simply the biggest corporation with the monopoly on violence. Folks, I want you to understand something. This is a financial literacy lesson here, but it's also a cultural statement. And here's what I mean by that. That's why it's so important. There's no question Elon Musk is looked on very highly, very favorably by the millennial generation in particular. A lot of people look up to him. He has a platform, a very big one. He has a lot of influence. And I just wanted to stand up and cheer when he made that statement because he's giving people a basic financial literacy lesson that's so powerful and so important. Look, taking it away from people that are good at making money and giving it to the government is a bad idea. and he was even stronger about how strong he was negative about the government. In other words, a lot of those millennials were taught in colleges and things like this that big government was good and government would take care of you and all that. And here they have one of their greatest, highest regarded people saying, no, that's wrong. And so you see my point is what I'm trying to say is it's resonating. The damage that was done is getting reversed, okay? Now, we got to stop continuing to feed that. I've stated this over and over again now. If you have children, kids or grandkids, you really, really need to strongly consider pulling them out of any public schools or colleges or any place like that frankly have become almost nothing more than indoctrination centers, okay? And teaching your kids and grandkids stuff that you don't believe in. And to make matters even worse, if you're like, say, paying for college for them or something, for example, you're paying for it. I mean, that's insult on injury, right? You paying for turning your kids or grandkids against you. I mean, from a financial responsibility standpoint, how crazy is that? How foolish is that? That's why my kids are they're online school, both in high school, do online school. Not necessarily the solution for every high school kid. There's charter schools, there's private schools that are still all right. There's homeschooling. There's multiple myriad of options. Find the one that fits for your kids, but don't keep just allowing these people to indoctrinate your kids into beliefs, things that you don't believe in. I mean, that's just It's raising up an enemy in your own house. That's just completely foolish from the most fundamental level, if you know what I'm saying. It's so important. And that's why I'm so glad to see, one of the positives of COVID is a lot of parents woke up and realized what their kids were really getting taught. They had no idea. Folks, they're not teaching their kids what we were taught when we were going to school. It isn't the same. And I'm also seeing some stuff. There's another things that we can do. If you donate to a college or something like that, your alma mater, you need to really seriously reconsider. Probably in 99% of the cases. And we're starting to see some of that. There was a story, this was funny. Recently, I saw a story of a Cornell alum, very wealthy, who had been donating to Cornell for quite a number of years. And the school was frustrated because he was not willing to donate this year because he was concerned about what Cornell was teaching the students. So Cornell decided to connect him and had dinner, whatever, with some of the more moderate professors that they still had on staff. But the result totally backfired. It was funny. All those moderate professors did was complain to this alum about how restricted they couldn't speak up and there was no free speech and how they couldn't share their ideas or values anymore. He decided to not only not donate to Cornell, he donated to an organization that supports freedom of education. I'm not sure which one it was. And I know some others who have started colleges and various things now too. I mean, there's a lot of things going on like that. And those are things that should be cause for encouragement. Again, the American people, the sleeping giant is waking up. This compliance that we had, we were asleep at the wheel, folks, and I was one of them. But we're realizing and waking up to the fact that we need to do something. Contact me at toll-free 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com for more information on how to take control of your finances, reduce your taxes, create positive arbitrage, and all those good things. Stay tuned in the next segment. We'll talk about a few more things I think you'll find very valuable.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. And I want to encourage everybody. We've gone through, we're wrapping up towards the end of 2021 here. It's been a tough year for a lot of people, again, with a lot of changes. I just want to encourage you. We've had a lot of wins recently. And in the last show, I actually shared a lot of those wins, big ones recently. And, again, challenges to our way of life, our society, our economy, all these things that, the polls show the vast majority of Americans don't like the direction our country is headed. But yet we're fighting back. We're waking up. We're not being complacent anymore. And I want you to understand we've had some big wins. The war of ideas is not over, not by any stretch. These leftists have been Marxists, communists, all of them have been attacking the underpinnings of our society now for decades, quietly, systematically, infiltrating places like education and Hollywood and business and government and all that. But we're waking up and we're fighting back and we're pushing back and we're getting some big wins because we're in the majority, folks, by a long shot. Okay, it's not even close. I was saying this almost a year ago, where I said, no one can convince me our country has shifted, made that huge of a shift from a center-right country, as even Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat, stated recently, that we're a center-right country, to something far left, leftist, not even liberal, but leftist. You couldn't convince me our country has gone there. It hasn't. I mean, look at the polls. Look at the approvals and disapproval ratings of the current of Biden, for example. So, and look at the polls where it says people that are unhappy with the direction of the country are happy. Vast majority are unhappy, okay, for a lot of reasons. And we have valid reason to, but instead, we're not just complaining about it. A lot of things are happening. And here's what I want you to understand. Going into the beginning of next year, you're going to see a lot more. In fact, our show is going to be doing some more things. I'm going to be interviewing Blake Masters, a candidate for U.S. Senate from Arizona. I'm going to be asking him a number of questions about where he stands on things like term limits, a balanced budget amendment, things like that. You're going to get to know this guy and see if he's somebody that you might want to support if he meets your belief system. He's going to be running, if he wins the primary, him or somebody like him is going to be running against the current Arizona Senator, Mark Kelly, who was is a first term. He actually took over from 2 years ago, roughly, from John McCain passing away. So he only served 2 years so far, basically. Senators usually serve 6 years. He's only served 2. Now, here's the thing. What's something else we can do? There's something called the Liberty Score. It's put out by Conservative Review. And if you want to look it up, it's libertyscore.conservativereview.com. Again, that's libertyscore.conservativereview.com. This is a very interesting thing. What it does is it's a scorecard on what each and every senator and congressperson has voted, their actual voting record for the top 50 votes, most consequential votes, for the past 6 years. And they rate them whether that it was a liberal or conservative vote. You can choose. You click on the state. You can look at all of them. You can choose by the Liberty Score. In other words, if they voted 100% of their votes were conservative votes, they get a 100% score. And if it was 0, they get a 0 score. Well, it turns out that Mark Kelly, Democratic senator from Arizona, has the lowest score in the United States. His conservative voting record. This is what he's. Forget what people. This is what I'm saying. This is what's so important about politics and media and all these other things. Forget what people say. I think we learned that about Biden. What did he say? What, do I look like a radical? Look what he's done. In other words, forget what people say. Look at what they do. Mark Kelly's voting record on conservative votes, so the things that would be considered conservative, is 0. He's 100% voting the Democratic line, the Biden policy. 100%. That's the lowest score in the country. In fact, Mark Kelly's voting record is more liberal than Chuck Schumer of New York, or Bernie Sanders for that matter. Now, I don't care what you say, but Arizona is not 100% liberal, right? So is Mark Kelly representing our state? You see my point. Go to libertyscore.conservativereview.com and look up your representatives, your House congressperson and your senators, I should say, and see if they're representing you in the way that you think they should be. In fact, a lot of people complain about moderate Republicans and rhinos. Here you can identify very quickly who they are, who those are, and who are not. This is a great tool that we can use to figure out what our representatives are actually doing. Stay tuned in the next segment. I'm going to cover some more things that we can do to make next year better. So stay tuned.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to Your Personal Bank Show, and we're wrapping this up today. And like I said, we're coming up on Christmas, New Year's, the holidays, and it's a special time of the year for me at least, with my family. If you do reach out to me, I always let people know I like to take a couple weeks off during this time of the year to spend with my family and enjoy, and I hope you do some of the same things yourself. You know, contemplate about where we've been, where we want to go, what do I want to accomplish this next year. So if you do reach out to me to, Your Personal Bank, what can it do? Reduce market risk. Reduce taxes. You think that might be a problem next year. Offset inflation. Federal Reserve is telling us that's going to be a problem for sure. It is a problem, and it will continue through next year. Diversify. Do you think that might be important to diversify your assets in a non-correlated asset, particularly with a uncertain future going forward here with the real estate markets and stock markets for that matter, with inflation and taxes and these other things that are happening? There's create positive arbitrage. And if you don't know what that means, it just means you're going to have more money in your pocket. You're earning more money, and you're earning interest on money you spent, actually. I'll share with you how to do those things. Look, banks do this all the time. Corporate finance boards, family offices, they do this stuff all the time. Might as well do what they're doing. I tell you, look, you like banks or hate them, doesn't matter, but gosh, you can certainly learn from them, right? I'm on the board of a bank. You might want to, I'm pretty confident there's some things, ideas and some things I can share with you you've probably maybe never heard that would benefit you financially. And I'm going to encourage you to contact me at yourpersonalbank.com or toll free 866-268-4422. I'm going to tell you right now, I'll reach out. I'll get back with you after the first of the year. Okay. But definitely reach out to me because, we've had a tough year. It's been a challenging year for a lot of people. Some people, it's been a great year. Okay. But the bottom line has been a lot of change, certainly, for a lot of folks. What are you going to do next year to make it better? And I'm going to share with you some things I want to be doing. And like I said, one of the big things, obviously, the same, which has been the thing I've been doing for the last 7-8 years, is educating people on this personal bank concept, again, to put more money in their pocket, reduce their taxes and all that stuff, gain control of their money. And if you contact me, I'll help you do that, okay? This is up to you. And I feel good about those things because when I help somebody put them in a better financial position, I always feel good about that because that gives them more economic freedom. And freedom, economic freedom, is one of the key freedoms that we enjoy as citizens of this country at this point still. Okay? I'm going to be doing all those things. But, I'm doing some other stuff. I've already started to mention this and some things that you can do. I'm encouraging people to go to libertyscore.conservativereview.com. Again, that's libertyscore.conservativereview.com. What is that? That is a scorecard of every vote that every representative has made over the last 6 years. And it rates them versus conservative versus liberal voting record. In other words, forget the media. Forget what your politician is saying. Forget what you hear. Why don't you go look and see how your representatives, your senators, and your congresspeople are actually voting? Because what you do speaks so loudly that what you say I cannot hear. This is the thing that we need to do as citizens, as voters, to hold our representatives feet to the fire and ensure that they represent us like we want. And then reach out to them. Let them know how you feel. What's important to you. And you may say, well, I'm just one person. What difference can I make? You know what? Very few people will actually do this. Very few people will go and look this up and actually reach out to their representatives. But if it's 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000 or I don't know, you're going to be representing 1,000 voices or 10,000 voices. Folks, your voice is very valuable, very important. And hold your representatives to what's important to you. Okay? That's the whole point. We're a representative republic. They represent us. Okay? I'm doing those things. I've reached out to Senator Sinema, one of my senators here in Arizona, just yesterday. I've reached out to her several times and some of the others. I've also learned recently, to my surprise, that our other senator, Senator Kelly, has the most liberal voting record in the Senate for the last 2 years. 100% liberal. There's only 2 senators in the entire country with his record. In other words, our senator from Arizona, Senator Mark Kelly, has a more liberal voting record than Chuck Schumer of New York. That surprised me, but that's the facts. And these are the facts that we need to be armed with and educate ourselves as voters, as citizens, to know who our representatives, what they're actually doing. So again, go to libertyscore.conservativereview.com and find out what they're doing. And if you're not happy about it, send them an email. If you are happy about it, send them an email. By the way, if they're running for office, again, every congressperson is, aren't they? Every 2 years. If they're running for re-election and you like what they're doing, support them. Encourage them. Let them know. Help them out. Volunteer. Donate to their campaign. And if you don't like what they're doing, then find a candidate, an alternative candidate that could replace them. Again, I stated, Mark Kelly has the most liberal voting record in the United States Senate over the last 2 years from Arizona. And I do not believe he's representing Arizona effectively. And so I have been actively researching and looking for alternatives, candidates who are running against him. One of them I'm going to be interviewing is Blake Masters, running for U.S. Senate from Arizona, a businessman, a family guy, and who, I'll just say, people who are want to take back control of our state and our country, things like term limits and all those, we want to find out where he stands. I'm going to encourage you to stay tuned to the Your Personal Bank show. I sit down for him. I'll be sitting down with him for an hour, and I'm going to ask him where he stands on a balanced budget amendment. I'm going to ask him the questions that we always want our media to ask these people, but they never seem to do. I'm going to ask him some honest and tough questions, like why are you running for Senate, for example, and why should we trust that you're going to follow through on your campaign promises? Because we as voters have been lied to for so many times by folks on both sides of the aisle, right? I'm not going to be sneaky or underhanded or anything, but I'm going to ask him some open, honest, and tough questions. Okay. And let's find out where this guy stands. And is he a candidate that maybe we want to support? And if he's not, let's find another one that is, because I don't think having a senator who votes liberal Biden policies 100% of the time is representing Arizona. I don't think anybody thinks Arizona is 100% liberal, right? So that's my point. These are the things that we can do, getting involved, making a difference. And here's what if you're a little, and I know a lot of, the holidays are some of the most depressing times of the year. One of the best things to overcome being frustrated, depressed. I've been there in my life at different points. I think we all have. I don't think you've lived if you haven't had a time in your life that you weren't down and depressed or lonely. You know what? Find a purpose. Make a difference. Accomplish something. Help somebody else out. Whether it's volunteering in a soup kitchen or volunteering for a campaign for a candidate that you like. In other words, find a purpose. Make a difference. Make next year better than last year. And you'll be surprised. It's amazed how when you kind of because depression, you tend to focus on woe is me and your problems. And I'm not discounting the challenges and problems that people go through. I've done them myself. When you're dealing with them, it sucks, okay? I'm not discounting that. I'm not poo-pooing that. I'm not downplaying that. What I'm saying is you have to pull yourself up sometimes and find something above and beyond, a higher purpose. Okay? Maybe you should go back to church. Okay? Those are things I'm doing. Okay? COVID, a lot of us got away from those kinds of things. And a lot of people, reason why a lot of people are down is they were involved in some social activities or organizations or groups, whatever that was. And of course, a lot of that got shut down and they've gotten out of that habit and gotten away from it. You need to reconnect. We're social creatures, right? Human beings are social creatures. We were not meant to be isolated from each other. In fact, one of the cruelest punishments, we all know this for criminals, is solitary confinement, right? Why is it such, think about that. The worst of the worst criminals, the punishment, what do? They put them in solitary confinement. So it gives you an idea of how impactful, in essence, putting yourself in solitary confinement can be, how damaging that can be. So reach out to a friend. Go have a coffee. Do something. Get involved with an organization, an activity. And I'm going to say, if you can't think of one right now, I'm telling you, our country is crying out for people to reach out and make a difference. And many are. Get involved in this movement. I'm getting more and more energized and more energetic and more upbeat. I'm going to tell you, I was really frustrated and down probably 8 months ago. But as time went on, about, when they started shutting down the small businesses for COVID, that really, really upset me. And I just couldn't believe our country would do something like that. And so as time has gone on, I've gotten more and more encouraged as I've gotten more involved, and then others reached out to others who are involved and communicating and connecting with them and seeing what they're doing, and I'm doing what I'm doing, and seeing differences being made. I'm telling you, folks, if you don't have a purpose right now, and gosh, you folks that are retired, my gosh, you've got the time, right? I'm a busy guy, but I'm still making the time because it's important. Find a candidate you can help out, volunteer, knock doors, make phone calls, shoot out emails. Any candidate would love help, right? And then donations too, of course. But man, they need help more than anything. So I'm going to be reaching out to like some candidates for governor, for example, of Arizona, some of our Congress people, and various different, some more like mayors and different, even some school board members and different things, different positions that I think are important, and we'll do our due diligence and find folks who we think are a good, meet our belief system. If I bring them on, I'm going to have a pretty good idea what their belief system is. I'll have talk to people that know who they are before I meet them. And like I said, the news I've gotten on the research I've done on Blake Masters, for example, candidate for U.S. Senate, he's the real deal, straight shooter from the folks that I've talked to. So we'll find out. I want to learn some more. I'm going to learn along with you, along with some of these other candidates, because I believe we can take our country back. And that's one of the key ways of doing it, is getting the right people in Washington and the state houses and the school boards and other places like that, and take back over our country and our society back to where most of us want it to be, and turn it back into a land of opportunity instead of trying to turn it into a land of dependency. So there's a lot of great stuff coming up. I'm excited about 2022. I believe we're going to see some major positive changes, movement forward. The midterm elections towards the end of the year will be a massive, I think, impact. But the last thing I want to do is I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I say that because that's what's important to me, my heritage and my history, and that's what I identify with. So you know what? I'm not saying this to offend anyone in any way, but don't take that away from me, because it's important to me. It's not important to you, that's fine. You have that option. I'm not pushing it on you, but again, I'm going to encourage everybody to have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Contact me at toll-free 866-268-4422 or your personal bank for more information on how to enhance your financial future, reduce your taxes, offset inflation, and create positive arbitrage.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. This show is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information. The presenter and guest on this program do not engage in legal, accounting, or tax advice. Professional advice regarding your situation should be sought if required. Products and riders may have limitations and may not be available in all states. Excessive unpaid loans may affect performance. Distributions may become taxable if not managed properly. Replacements may not be suitable for everyone. There may be charges when replacing coverage. Compare when considering a replacement. Dividend rates and baseline of credit rates may change. Contact yourpersonalbank.com for current rates.